The Super Bowl spot for Jurassic World Rebirth has arrived. It ended up being a shortened version of that full trailer that was released on Wednesday, but there are 2 new shots from the movie as well as some other changes, so let's take a look and examine some theories about this new island and its inhabitants.
The worst of the worst, we're left here.
Come on!
Duncan!
So we have 2 new shots in this new Super Bowl trailer. It's a great little 60-second spot, meaning that Universal would have had to fork out roughly $9 million for it to air. As you've likely seen already, it virtually is a cut down of the full trailer, a shortened, more condensed, and honestly slightly better flowing version. There aren't any new lines, but it does omit a number of moments, including the introduction scene at the museum that introduced the characters of Zora Bennett and Dr. Henry Loomis.
Dr. Henry Loomis, this is Zora Bennett, our mission specialist.
Sorry, what mission?
The full trailer for Rebirth dropped on Wednesday the 5th of February and revealed to us a lot about the upcoming sequel. It revealed the all-new mutant creature thing and told us that this new island was actually the research facility for the original Jurassic Park.
This island was the research facility for the original Jurassic Park.
There are a lot of questions, of course, about how this new island fits into the timeline and how it relates to Isla Sorna, but for now, let's focus on that Super Bowl trailer and take a look at the new shots. The big game spot opens with the bar scene where Scarlett Johansson meets with Mahershala Ali's character, Duncan Kincaid. The Super Bowl tease omits that opening scene, as I said, the one at the museum, but the shot of Scarlett that we open with is new. It wasn't in that full original trailer. Now the next shot is actually an updated version of the same shot. It's got a slightly different crop and you'll notice the beer cans have been masked out. This will have been done for no other reason than broadcasting laws relating to beer logo copyrights and alcohol laws in broadcasting advertisements. Remember, this TV spot was intended for the Super Bowl. Now the rest of the trailer is mostly the same, it just flows a lot faster through the scenes, omits some of the humor, until we get to this shot. In the full trailer, you'll see that Zora is firing a pistol down this cramped corridor at what we assume is an InGen facility. Well, in the Super Bowl variant, you'll notice it's a completely different shot. The shot was replaced. We are tighter on Zora this time and she's moving forward with the gun out of shot. She's not pointing it forward. She's looking sufficiently weathered and covered in dirt, presumably from her time surviving this island. I'm not sure exactly when this sequence itself takes place, but something tells me it's between the 2nd and 3rd act. Now this new shot could be earlier or later in the scene than what we saw previously where she's actually holding the gun up, but either way it's an interesting choice to replace in the Super Bowl spot and one that's even more reminiscent of Gareth Edwards' Rogue One. I do wonder if part of the reason this shot was omitted purely was because there was a gun featured. Both of these new shots in the Super Bowl trailer land on Scarlett Johansson, Zora Bennett. ScarJo is a huge name whether you're a Jurassic fan or not, so perhaps a wise choice on the part of Universal to further focus on the Rebirth star power by putting new shots of her in front of a huge audience.
Come on!
Duncan!
The final change we have in this trailer, aside from the shortened shots of course, is this shot of the Spinosaurus launching out of the water as Philippine Velg's character swings over the side of the boat. It's not a big change, but this shot was actually extended and shows a few more frames of the Spinosaurus launching out of the water. It reveals a tiny bit more of that dinosaur, gives us a little bit of a better look. And honestly, it looks a bit more like a Mosasaurus here.
What the hell are those?
And that's about it for this trailer. So unfortunately, not many changes or new shots in this trailer, but we did get a couple, and honestly, I've seen a few people now comment that the Super Bowl cut down, the 60-second version, actually flows a lot better. It might be missing a bunch of the exposition and some of the sequences, but overall, as far as trailers go, it flows nicely and it flies by. It definitely feels punchier, and in omitting some of those more light-hearted moments, it definitely seems to focus more on the thrilling aspects. What do you think of the Super Bowl spot? Which one did you prefer? Which of the 2 trailers is your favorite? Great to get another look at Rebirth, and awesome for Jurassic to make another Super Bowl appearance. We did assume it would be a 30-second spot, but considering the hefty costs involved in these spots, but Universal forked out for 60 seconds, and I think they're better for it. There's a few things in this trailer that are certainly getting consistent conversation. One thing I noticed and loved about the movie so far is that this bar sequence, meeting the contact at a local bar in South America, is right out of that Jurassic Park 4 John Sayles screenplay. In that screenplay from 2004, the character of Nick Harris meets his contact at a beachfront bar in a Central American town. Now you'll remember that this script was never produced, it was actually leaked somehow. We're never fully sure of how exactly that script leaked, but it's out there, it's available, you can even get it on JurassicOutpost.com. At the time, it was considered a concept for a movie that would kill the Jurassic franchise, and ultimately it never happened. There were variations of this idea. We haven't seen those screenplays, but it does appear that some inspiration is being drawn from those old ideas. Now, while this specific bar is more than likely just a coincidence, it does make you wonder if David Koepp and Steven Spielberg were looking over those various ideas that had been floated around for the fourth Jurassic movie back in the day. We know that Colin Trevorrow, while writing Jurassic World, had access to a lot of these older screenplays to draw inspiration from. There's no reason to think that Spielberg and Koepp didn't pull some ideas from those older concepts. And not just the bar location itself. Nick Harris in that 2004 script was a soldier of fortune. We know that Zora Bennett and Duncan Kincaid are the best at moving things and people in and out of places they shouldn't be, and both have extensive experience together in the military and special operations.
He's your guy?
We're the best at moving things and people in and out of places they shouldn't be.
It makes you wonder what other ideas from those unproduced screenplays will make it into Rebirth. Dinosaur-human-dog hybrids aside.
It's your uncle, Sam, and this is the Great American Game.
So we got a tiny extra glimpse at the Spinosaurus in this TV shot, and in those few frames, we can see slightly more detail on that dinosaur. But one thing people have noticed is that when you take a closer look at the jawline, it has a bit of a deformity with the teeth down here. We are led to believe that these dinosaurs were all too dangerous for the original park, and of course these Spinosaurs are definitely aggressive in the trailer, but what sets them apart from the one that we saw in JP3 on Isla Sorna? It's going to be interesting to learn what other deformities, anomalies and mutations might be present in the dinosaurs and other creatures that are on this island. In the Rebirth trailer, we were introduced to parts of the laboratory where InGen were breeding some of John Hammond's first ever creations, and some people have noticed that the lab itself looks a little bit futuristic compared to the stylings that we've seen at previous InGen facilities. There's a number of reasons why this could have been different, even down to just simply using different designers and construction teams to build said labs. But there's another theory floating around that perhaps the laboratory we are seeing in the trailer is still being used and might even be newer than we think. Now, I'm not so sure about this theory considering the very old computer that sits over here, but the idea that somebody, a new organization, or even InGen themselves were around longer than previously thought and are still breeding dinosaurs at this lab is an interesting one, and one that might tie into why this mutant creature is somehow still alive. But the lab does look retro-futuristic. It looks like it could go either way. There's a chance that this lab could have been being used up until the late 90s or early 2000s. It's possible that any remaining InGen scientists retreated to this island after the collapse of Sorna and Nublar. It's even possible that somebody else was using this lab right up until the events of the movie. But I don't know about that. My personal theory is that it is indeed an older lab from the 80s, but that our characters in Rebirth, whether intentionally or not, reboot the power, and that reboot triggers some catastrophic events. What if this lab had been reactivated by Masrani scientists ahead of the Jurassic World Park's construction? Perhaps they could have used this lab to finalize their research and experimentation for the creatures of that new park. So what about this Martin Krebs character? Played by Rupert Friend, the character is described as a big pharma representative leading this mission, or at least spearheading the initiative for a medical breakthrough that could save countless lives.
This would be a medical breakthrough that could save countless lives. It comes from the largest dinosaurs on the planet.
Oh my
my God.
But does the character have ulterior motives? Given that screenwriter David Koepp looked back at the original novels for inspiration, the character of Martin Krebs may end up being a bit like Dodgson in the Lost World novel. In that novel, he takes advantage of other people in the group for his own ulterior scientific and monetary motives. Is this mission in Rebirth truly in search of a scientific discovery and medical breakthrough, or are there parties involved, InGen or otherwise, who seek to use science and these de-extinct creatures for a more sinister purpose? I guess we're gonna find that out on July 2nd, 2025. We've got a video coming soon on the new company that's involved in Jurassic World Rebirth's mission. Spotted at Universal Studios Orlando, the Rebirth marketing begins, and the company Parkergenics appears to be the new pharmaceutical company in Rebirth, most likely the company Martin Krebs works for and the company funding this mission. Thanks to Jay Malone for this image. You'll also notice a PG on Zora's gun. More on all of this in the next video, so make sure you're subscribed for that. Did you like the Jurassic World Rebirth trailer? Where do you think the story of Rebirth is headed? Tell me down below in the comments, and thank you for watching this video.